Hind Swaraj or Indian Home Rule. Today's capsule summary is very close to my heart, and I know it is very close to your heart too, because we as youngsters are very interested in knowing about the independence struggle, how our country attained freedom, how much the nationalists, the revolutionaries worked hard to give us this democracy that we have today. Yes, I value my country a lot, and this is going to be great. Let's listen about it. Well, a little bit about Indian history. You know, the colonization of India began somewhere in the 1600s with the formation of East India Company. Now, this East India Company allied with different rulers across the country. It fought various wars, and its main purpose was to extract the resources from India, okay, to make India poor while making the East India Company rich. But then a rebellion happened in the 1857. And this Indian rebellion brought a change. How? It brought the British Raj directly into our country, which means the British government took control of the East India Company, and then came the British rule in our country. फिर क्या था? Obviously, the fight for freedom, the long fight for freedom began. And in this came what? Hind Swaraj or Indian Home Rule. Who has written it? Written and published in the year 1909 in Gujarati and 1910 in English, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi penned Hind Swaraj for us. A little bit about Gandhi ji. He lived from 1869 to 1948. By profession, he was a lawyer and, of course, an anti-colonialist. He studied law in London and then spent 21 years in South Africa, where he faced racial attacks, discrimination. He was disheartened. He was shocked to see that so much the world is divided according to race. I am inferior, you are superior, this, that. No, the world is completely unequal. Then he came to India. He formulated the Satyagrah protest, and he had this awesome relationship with books and authors. He was widely read. A little example I want to give you. He had this correspondence relationship, or, a relationship of letters with the Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy. But unfortunately, after India attained its freedom, in the year 1948, Gandhiji was assassinated by an extremist Hindu nationalist named Nathuram Godse. Yes? Now, you should know it. Gandhiji wrote Hind Swaraj in just 10 days while he was traveling from London to South Africa in a ship. What is Hind Swaraj? It advocates Indian philosophy of life. It is how India should act if they want to throw British out of the country. The genre of this book is philosophical dialogue. It is a dialogue between two people. Who are these two people? The editor and the reader. Please remember this. The two characters in Hind Swaraj are called the editor and the reader. The editor is explicitly Gandhiji himself, okay? Although he's called the editor, but we know that the views are Gandhiji's views, right? And the setting of this book is early 20th century India under the British rule, okay? In this dialogue, the editor, who is Gandhiji himself, answers questions of a character called the reader. These questions of the reader are based on, first, home rule or Swaraj. Second, passive resistance or Satyagrah. Third, modern civilization. And fourth, Indian nationhood. In today's capsule summary, we shall discuss all these four questions which were asked by the reader, and the answer was given by the editor with a lot of morality, a lot of patience, okay? The qualities he wants in every Indian: patience, morality. He did all that while answering the questions of the reader. Now, the first topic we shall discuss is Swaraj, self-rule or home rule. Okay, Swaraj means self-rule also and home rule also. Here, please understand, I have written the lines spoken by the editor, the lines spoken by the reader. These lines are literally not taken from the book. Only when I say quote, those lines are taken from the books. okay, from the book. So let's start. The editor. The editor says, that is Gandhiji say, Indian National Congress, created in 1885, brought educated Indians together to demand independence from the British. The reader asks, and how do we govern our country? Like, we're demanding independence from the British. So when they leave, how do we govern our country? To which the editor replies, unless Indians learn to govern themselves fairly, India will simply have English rule without the Englishman. Individuals have to transform themselves before they can transform the society. That is why Gandhiji, or the editor, says Swaraj refers to both individual self-rule and a nation's home rule. Quote, if we become free, India is free. Remember the old proverb that the tree does not grow in one day. So the editor is telling the reader that this Swaraj, to attain Swaraj, self-rule and home rule, it will take a long time. Yes, but that does not mean that we will not work. Action is important. We have to work every day towards attaining Swaraj. Yes, home rule and self-rule. Now the reader asks, every Englishman is our enemy? To which the editor replies, we who seek justice will have to do justice to others. If we act justly, India will be sooner free. You will see that if we shun every Englishman as an enemy, home rule will be delayed. But if we are just to them, we shall receive their support in our progress towards the goal. Did you understand what Gandhiji said here? He's trying to say that do not consider English people as your enemies. No. If we don't consider them as our enemy, or if we treat them justly, we just have to ask for our rights. Yes, we're not asking for anything extra. We're asking for our rights as Indians. They will support us and they will take us to our goal. What is our goal? Independence, right? So according to Gandhiji, every Englishman is not our enemy. There are many, in fact, let me tell you, Indian National Congress, the beginners, the people who began it, there were many English people involved in the creation of Indian National Congress as well. So do not consider them as your enemy. They will help us in attaining our goal towards independence. So now we come to the second topic of discussion between the editor and the reader. It is Satyagrah protest or passive resistance. The reader says, Indians should achieve home rule by taking up arms and forcing the English out of India. So the reader basically is propagating violence. He's saying that violence to lana hi padega if we want to attain independence. For which the editor replies, that is not the right method. I can explain this to you with an example from Italian history. The Italian reunification in the 1800s was led by revolutionaries named Garibaldi and Mazzini in a violent manner. But the result of this violence was that their Italian revolution merely gave power to the Italian elite without truly freeing the population from tyranny. Brute force, the editor says, or Gandhiji says, cannot establish a just government. It would only lead to an escalating cycle of war and vengeance. But, the editor warns, this does not mean that petitions are enough. Petitions have to be backed by action. We just don't have to give petitions, we want India to be free, we want India to be free. No, we have to take action. And what action? Real rights are a result of performance of duty. We have before us in England the farce of everybody wanting his rights, but nobody thinking of his duty. And where everybody wants rights, who shall give them to whom? So what is Gandhiji saying? That we have to understand our duty, that everyone has to be treated morally and equally in the country. Aisa nahi that the Britishers leave us and we end up fighting among ourselves. Respect thy neighbor, and the neighbor will respect you. It means that we have to treat everyone with morality. We have to understand our duties as well as rights. But in England, what is happening? Everyone is crying for their rights. No one is understanding their duties. That is what Gandhiji is saying. And then he comes to what? You know it? Satyagrah, which is the only solution to India's true freedom, is passive resistance. What is passive resistance or Satyagraha? Refusing to follow the government's demands. But Satyagraha has its challenges. Quote, passive resistance is a method of securing rights by personal suffering. It is the reverse of resistance by arms. When I refuse to do a thing that is repugnant to my conscience, I use soul force. For instance, the government of the day has passed a law which is applicable to me, but I do not like it. If by using violence I force the government to repeal the law, I am employing what may be termed body force. If I repel them by using violence, I'm using body force. But if I do not obey the law and accept the penalty for its breach, I use soul force. It involves sacrifice of soul. Satyagraha or passive resistance, according to Gandhiji, involves sacrifice of self. सहन करना, हिंदी में जिसको कहते हैं सहन कीजिए, गलत मत सहन कीजिए, गलत नहीं सहन कीजिए, लेकिन do not reply. Okay, just do not reply. Don't obey, but do not reply with violence. ठीक है? मानेंगे नहीं, सुनेंगे नहीं. Okay, हम मानेंगे नहीं, सुनेंगे नहीं, आपको मारेंगे भी नहीं. That is what you should take Satyagraha as. After this, the third topic of discussion between the editor and the reader is modern civilization. The editor says, quote, let us first describe modern civilization. People living in it make bodily welfare the object of life. They are only materialistic. The proponents of modern civilization, they want materialism. They want the welfare of objects of life. They are not spiritual. Now he again talks of England. What does Gandhiji say? The problem with England is modern civilization. The way of life that prioritizes bodily welfare or people's material desires above everything else. This traps them and their colonies in an unsustainable cycle of constant economic expansion. Okay? Now the reader asks, but haven't the British forced this civilization on us? Aren't they responsible for giving us this, economic expansion? They have made us materialistic. They have taken us away from our spiritual journey. To which the editor says, quote, the English have not taken India. No. We have given it to them. They are not in India because of their strength, but because we keep them. Then he gives an example of the railways. Gandhiji says the modern railway network is a dangerous tool for plundering India's resources and forcing its people into slavery. Rather than living self-sufficiently in their village communities, farmers now have to sell everything to the British, which has created devastating famines across our country. And then the editor sums up this case of modern civilization against modern civilization by supporting the ancient Indian civilization. He says, Indians should embrace modern education and reject most Western machinery, with some exceptions, like the printing press, which can help the independence movement spread. Okay, this is very nice. I like Gandhiji's views because they are very pragmatic. Yes, he says, we will accept modern education, we will accept printing press, but we will accept only what is correct. We will not accept all the technology that you are throwing on us. Okay, we will not accept what you are giving us in the name of modern civilization. We consider soul above than body. Yes, that is what Gandhiji says. And finally, the editor and reader discuss about nationhood. Here, the editor dialogues with the reader regarding how to convert India into a true, patient, and moral nation. The editor says, quote, religion is dear to me, and my first complaint is that India is becoming irreligious. India is turning away from religion. Here, I am not thinking of the Hindu, the Mohammedan, or the Zoroastrian religion. No, but of that religion which underlies all these religions, of that humanity which underlies all these religions. But sadly, We are turning away from God. The English have taught us that we were not one nation before. They came, they divided us. They are ruling us by dividing us, which means they have taught us that we were never one. And that it will require centuries before we become one nation. It is going to be a work in progress. People of all caste and creed have to learn to stay together. Yes, if we want a true nationhood in India, we have to accept each other. This is true even till today, right? Now we come to the end of the book. How does Hind Swaraj end? The editor Gandhiji summarizes this text as follows. First, quote, okay, these words are from the book. Real home rule is self-rule and self-control. Second, the way to it is passive resistance. That is soul force or love force. Satyagrah, as I told you. Third, in order to exert this force, Swadeshi in every sense is necessary. Be Indian, wear Indian, use Indian spun cloth. Do not use that cloth which British people are sending to us with such high taxes. Yes, be Indian, wear Indian. And fourth, what we want to do should be done, not because we object to the English, no, but because it is our duty to do so. Thus, supposing that the English remove the salt tax, restore our money, give the highest post to Indians, withdraw English troops, suppose they do all this good to us, but we shall certainly not use their machine-made goods, nor use the English language, nor many of their industries. It is worth noting that these things are in their nature harmful. So we are against them not because the English have given us, these things. We are against them because in their nature, these things are harmful and hence we do not want them. I bear no enmity towards the English, but I bear enmity towards their civilization. Did you understand? It is easy and it is very inspiring. And Gandhiji, when this book was it was first published in Gujarati, as I told you, but then it was banned by the British. And then he said that I don't understand why my book is banned. I am not inciting violence with this book. Can't you see? This is just a way of living a national life. This is just a way of being patriotic, of being human. Why are you seizing my book? And it was because of this that the next year the book was published in English. Okay? Easy. So nice. So this was Hind Swaraj, or Indian Home Rule for you. I am Hina from Team Test, and I hope you love this capsule summary. As you know, our English literature series is going on, under which we are covering the most important summaries of most important works related to Indian literature in English, which will help you in all realms of life. Even if you want to gain knowledge, just like that. If you want notes for your university and college, you can have it from here. And if you're preparing for NET, SET, and other exams, these works are super important. Yes? So subscribe to our channel and of course, share it with your friends and relatives. Thank you so much for being with Tess. Bye-bye.